Good morning, friends. Due to some my personal problems, um, two lectures I cannot conduct because of the some my brother's health issues. I was out of stations for 4-5 days, but now he is okay. So that's why I am continuing remaining portions. I think design of the power screws means the theoretical articles I had taken, and one remaining important articles, that is recirculating ball screw, that today I will take. So after that we will start. Next chapter is the springs, means design of the springs. So first I will explain recirculating ball screw. So how this recirculating ball screw is different as compared to conventional screw jacks. In the conventional screw jacks, thread may be square threads, square thread may be trapezoidal threads, thread may be acme threads. But in the recirculating ball screw, so what is maybe the play between the trapezoidal threads or acme threads, so that plays fill up by using the balls. So because of the fillings up of the balls in between the two threads, means nuts and screws, so that replace the sliding frictions. Instead of the sliding frictions, the frictions is rolling frictions. So because of the sliding frictions is replaced by the rolling frictions, the efficiency of the screw jack that will increase 90%, means more than 90%. But for the same capacity of the screw jack, the design of the, or you can say the compact of the screw jack is less as compared to the sliding frictions, because in the sliding frictions that is more compact for the same capacity. So that's why in the recirculating ball screw, what happens? Suppose the threads and this is thread above the nut. So here is, and this is this gap fill up by the balls. So these are the chrome plated balls. This material is the nickel chromium steel, or this is, you can say, chrome plated balls. So because of the these balls, sliding frictions replaced by rolling frictions, because such type of the balls using the instead of the sliding contact, now contact becomes point contact. So because of the point contacts, this friction becomes rolling frictions. So that's why efficiency is increased, is more than 90%. And this is the efficiency is more than 90%. And applications of the means, this is the what are the advantages of the recirculating ball screw as compared to conventional ball screw. So advantages: efficiency is more than 90%. Next is the precise and repeatable movement so here's because of the rolling frictions and instead of the sliding frictions, no stick slip phenomena. Stick slip phenomena means because of the sliding contacts that may be temporary welding may be occurs, so that phenomena are called as stick slip phenomena. So that's a no stick slip phenomena. Smaller size for same load, and the efforts which is required, that is also less, and disadvantages high quality lubrications is required. So lubrications is high quality of the lubrications is required, and for the same capacity, conventional screw jack have more compact as compared to recirculating ball screw. So what are the applications of the recirculating ball screw? Applications, so this recirculating ball screw we can use in the screw jack, for the steering, steering gears of automobile. Next, actuators, XY recorders means for plotters, actuator, and machine tool control. Machine tool controls, we can use recirculating ball screw. But actually in the recirculating ball screw, rigidity is less as compared to rigidity for the, generally for the tool rooms. Instead of the real circulating ball screw, more is the advisable is the sliding contact, because sliding contact is having a 3 to 4 times more rigidity as compared to rolling frictions or rolling frictions. So because of that, because in the accuracy is very important in the tool rooms. So accuracy means deflections of the tools. So the deflections, if the rigidity is more, deflections of the tool is very less, and you will get more accuracy in the finishings, or in the whatever may be the operations you are performing on the products. So that's why this is the recirculating ball screw you can't use in the tool rooms also. So this is very important articles, recirculating ball screw. So this may be asked. during the examinations. So what are the advantages of the recirculating ball screw? What are the disadvantages of the recirculating ball screw? And what are the applications of the ball screw? And which type of the? So here's miss. So what is difference means recirculating ball screw means in the recirculating ball screw we have to insert. So what will be the clearance between the nuts and screws? That gap is to be filled up by using small type of the rollers. So that's why sliding contact is to be replaced instead of the sliding contact. So that is replaced by the rolling contact. So because of that, minimum frictions occurs between the threads of the nuts and screws. So because of the minimum frictions, the efforts requires to raise the loads for the screw jacks or for steerings, that can be minimized. And we can apply means by using small amount of the rods you can lift the loads. So this is the advantages of the recirculating ball screw. But for the same capacity, it's for same capacity screw jack less compact as compared to compactness means that depends on the size. If the size is more, so means chances of the more compact means that should be in the less space. Design should be perfect in the less space. So there is no any deflection means more rigidity. That design are called as compact designs. So I think this is sufficient for our fourth units or fifth units means design about the threaded joints. So that's why today I am starting. Next unit is the springs. Design above the springs. So what are the different types of the springs? And so mainly means helical springs and lip springs as per our syllabus, but different types of the springs are available. Springs. So what is the springs? Springs is a mechanical device which is used for efficient. Spring is a mechanical device which is used for efficient storage of energy, and that is potential energy. Storage energy. Storage means potential energy. So that's why I am writing in brackets potential energy and release of energy and release of energy when load relief means converts to its in form of kinetic energy. So this is the springs. So what is means what is the what type of the functions perform? A spring is a mechanical device which is used for efficient storage of the. So that is means kinetic energy, that is stored in the form of the potential energy, and release of energy when the load is relieved. So that times that energy is relieved and convert into again in form of the kinetic energy. So types of the springs. So basically means according to our syllabus, types of the springs, compression helical springs, tension helical spring, torsion spring, and spiral springs. So another types of the springs, again yes, disc spring, or conical spring, this is conical spring, or this is disc spring, conical spring or volute, spring, and next is the leaf spring. So these are the types of the springs. In helical compression springs, shape of the helical compression springs, likewise helical compression springs means yes, load can be applied. So such type of the springs are called as helical compression springs. In the tension springs means hooks requires, so this is hook, so such type of the springs are called as tension springs. Torsion springs, in torsion springs, torque can be applied. So such type of the springs are called as torsion spring. Torsion springs means here only torque is happening. Actually, there is no any axial loads. So here's axial load in the tension springs. For axial loads, helical springs, nature of the loads, axial loads, compression, tension, torsion, torsion, spiral. This is spiral spring. In spiral springs means this springs is likewise. So such type of the springs are called as spiral springs, and applications, clocks, toys, etc. And this is for door opening of doors, torsion springs, and for operating of the brakes, clutches, brakes, or for releasing of the some of the walls, also we can use such type of the torsion springs, means for relief wall. And this compression springs for absorption, shock absorption, and this is for the measurement of the force measurement. Disc springs, so this type of the springs is when the low space is required and more compression is required, so that time such type of the springs we can use. So such type of the disc load is axial, but here when the when more load is to be absorbed in small space, then we can use such type of the disc springs, conical springs or volute springs. In conical springs, such type of the springs, conical springs shape, likewise, or conical means cone type. And volute means such type of the volute case, volute spring. Volute springs. So this is conical and this is volute spring. Lip springs means such type of the lip springs which is generally used in the automobiles. So this is lip springs. So as per our syllabus, we will see helical compression springs, tensions, or means this is helical design above the helical compression springs, and only lip springs. So this is as per our syllabus point of view importance, design above the helical compression springs, design above that means this is only helical compression springs and lip springs we will see. So these are the types of the springs, different types of the springs as per given in the various books. Next is the means I explained, but still this is given applications of springs. Here's energy absorption, second energy storage, and control, force measurement, force application, control motion, force measurement, so these are the applications. For energy absorption means for shock absorption, means shock absorption in automotive, in auto sectors, etc.
and shock and vibration.
You can see.
Energy 2 acts as
A reservoir
of energy to storage
energy in clocks,
toys and camera. This is for
force applications,
means yes, by using spring balance for measurement of weights. You can use
by maintaining
contact between two elements, and this is for actually this is force measurement, and this is for force applications. Means we can use in walls, brakes and clutches, etc. You can use force applications.
So these are the some of the applications of the springs.
So basically the springs materials, shape of the springs may be square, may be shape of the springs generally circular, may be square, rectangular, or maybe elliptical. Shape of the springs. And next is the, so what are the different types of the materials according to the applications of the springs? We can use different materials, alloyed, unalloyed materials or alloyed materials. Cold drawn steel wire, this is unalloyed. Second material is the again oil hardened and tempered spring steel wire, and this is also unalloyed. Third is the
Oil hardened and spring
wires, oil hardened and tempered spring steel wire, but this is alloyed. According to the applications, means where the temperature is more, there you can use stainless steels, where corrosion resistance is requires, so they you can use stainless steels for normal corrosion resistance. So here's for temperature application, and this is for fluctuating load, means when the load is minimum maximum, so such type of the means loads are called as fluctuating load, and this is for static loading. So these are the different type of the materials. So this stainless steels for normal corrosion resistance. Here also you can use brass, bronze, PB, phosphorus bronze also, phosphorus bronze also you can use, K-monals also, K-monal materials also you can use for the where is the corrosion resistance. So these are the different types of the materials. When the load is the static loads, so that times you can use cold down static wires. So this wires is having yield tensile stress and compressive tensile stress is more as compared to the cast steel wires. So this may be 1000 megapascals or 1450 1500 megapascals. This is oil hardened and tempered springs. And this is unalloyed for fluctuating loads. So for the fluctuating loads, because continuously loads huntings means there is the chances of the breakage of the springs. So that's why here's damper types and having more strength is requires. So that's why these are unalloyed steels. And where is the fluctuating loads and the temperature is higher, there's you can use high means such type of the springs you can use in the pressure release valve of the boilers etc. So this is the materials which we can use or choose for the various springs. Now, what are the different types of the springs? Means what are the end styles? So what are the different end styles? This word is important, end styles of springs. So here basically 4 types. First is the, this is plain end. Second is the plain and ground end, and third is the square end, and fourth is the square and ground end. So what is the difference? Now in the plain ends means, so from the circular wires or from the wires, so there is manufacturing some of the springs, but here's this tip. So this end tells, so this is only contact. Here's as this is. So here's sufficient contact is not available, so only point contacts. So this contact is the point contacts because this axial force acting. So this axial force acting, that is not uniforms. So for plane ends, for plane and ground end means now this ends grounded. So because of the grounded, so this surface is the grounded. Likewise. So that's why this contact is the, here's with the contact with seat means where is the spring is to be rest. So that is called as seat. Contact on seat is line contact. Here's contact is the this is you can say point contact. Point contact. This is line contact, and but this is less, and in square ends. So in square ends, here's this is the only some of the portions above the ends. Here's one ends. So this is touch, means one total circular ends, means which is in the 360 degree, that is touches with the seat, and after that so such type of the spring are called as square ends. Square ends means yes, you can call as a yes total touches with the seat. Yes, this is not completely, and here's this is touches in the line contact. Now this surface is the plane. So this is grounded. So that's why here's, and this number of active turns, this is inactive turns is the here's 1. So that will not take any parts in the deflections. So that's why this is n, this is n plus half, and this is total. Nt is the total number of turns, n is the number of active turns. Nt equal to, here's n plus 2, here also Nt equal to n plus 2. So this n is the number of active turns, n or capital N's, this is number of active turns. So means which will take direct contributions in the deflections of the springs. So this is one turns, this is another turns, and that will be deflect lightwise. So that is called as a active turns. Inactive turns means that will rest. So when the load is applied and when the release, means this is the at the ends. So this is the number of means inactive turns, inactive
turns means that will not contribute any deflection during the applications of load. So such type of the springs are called as inactive turns. So this is total number of the turns equal to, because this is one inactive turn and this is another inactive turn. So that's why total nt equal to n plus 2, because one inactive turns at the top and one active turns at the bottom. Here also this is, so that's why this is number of active turns. So here's no any inactive turns. Here inactive turns equal to only half, and here's two active turns, one is upper and one is the another at the bottoms. Here's also one at the uppers and one at the bottoms. So these are the different end styles of the helical compression springs. So I think today is sufficient. Tomorrow we will take the relations or the equations, that is the torque deflections equations and force analysis with the helical compression springs, and problems related with the helical compression springs that we will see in the tomorrow's class. So that's why today I stop here, and we will continue remaining portions of the springs, means the deflections equations and the force equations in the next class, and problems related with the design of the springs. Thank you.